Hey Z-Rivalers, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I want to talk about one of the most important things you can learn in any hero shooter, just like Marvel Rivals, counterpicking. I recently uploaded my counterpicking guide for duelists in the game, which did really well, and a few of you requested the same thing for Vanguard. So, here it is. As a Celestial player, I'm going to try my best to give you at least one counterpick to every Vanguard in the game on every single role for Season 1.5. So no matter if you're a Vanguard, Strategist, or Duelist main, if one Vanguard in particular on the enemy team is being a massive schlag and giving you a hard time, this guide should point you in the right direction. One thing I want to mention quickly is that I won't be suggesting Strategists based on their ultimate abilities alone. We all know Luna, Cloak and Dagger, Invisible Woman ults counter most ults in the game, so they're always a great choice. Also, it goes without saying that Wolverine is the best tank buster in the game, so it's safe to assume he's pretty great into most tanks. The same kind of goes for Bucky, who destroys tanks, and might actually be the best duelist in the game right now, period. Okay, let's kick things off with our first Vanguard, the Hulk. Brucey boy. When it comes to playing a duelist against him, you've got a few options, with the best being Punisher, Hela, and Bucky. With hit scan characters, you can track his jumping around, keeping your distance and doing a lot of damage against him when he doesn't have his bubble up. With Bucky, you will do tons of damage against Hulk, and once you see that he's used his bubble, then it's time to hook him in and combo the Hulk, keeping him from jumping away. Other duelists who are great into the Hulk are Iron Fist since his buff, your flying characters Iron Man, Storm, and Human Torch, and more, as Hulk likes to get up close and personal. If you're a Vanguard main and Hulk is giving you a tough time, his best Vanguard counter is going to be Peni Parker on defense or Thor on attack. As Penny, you're looking to set up your mines around your healers and defend them from Hulk's dive. Also, your stun is super easy to hit on him as he's such a big target, and you can keep on interrupting his jumping away. Penny is also great at dealing consistent damage at a distance from the Hulk, and if he gets too close, you've got your mines to help deal with him. Thor is another great Vanguard to play against the Hulk, as you're also a melee character that can keep up with the Hulk's damage. However, you also have your Awaken stance, which, once Hulk's bubble has been used and is down, you can chunk him easily with this. Moving on to the Hulk's best strategist counter, and I'm going to suggest Luna Snow as his best counter. He is a really big target, so you can whittle him down as Luna, as she's a hit scan character, and if he gets too close, you can freeze him and ice skate away. Hulk will have a really tough time keeping up with a Luna that's ice skating, and Luna's shift ability helps deal enough damage to Hulk from afar. Another great option here would be Mantis for her sleep and pure damage output. Let's look at Captain America, and since he saw recent buffs, a lot more people are playing him. If Captain America is upsetting your backline, as a duelist, his best counter is between Namor and Wolverine. I think Namor is better as it's harder for Captain America to escape your onslaught of spears and turret damage, with Wolverine coming in at a close second. Namor is great against dive, and although some tanks can survive your damage, it's enough to keep them off your healers and from picking off people on your team. Sometimes getting them off your backline is enough value for your team, even if you don't secure the kill every time. Wolverine is also a great choice as a melee character that deals tons of damage against tanks. Other great duelist counters here are Iron Fist and Magic for a similar reason, Punisher, Scarlet Witch, and flying characters such as Iron Man, Storm, and Human Torch. As a fellow Vanguard, your best counter against Captain America is Marvel Rivals' newest addition to the roster, the Thing. The Thing's shift ability stops anyone from using any of their maneuverability tools, so it's great against Captain America. The Thing is also amazing at peeling for his healers with his E ability, making Captain America's job as a dive character a lot harder than he wants it to be. The Thing also has great damage and can get up in Captain America's face and punch him right in the mush. The Thing is so good at peeling, and that's a really great counter tool against a good Captain America. I find that as a strategist, you want to play someone who can get away from Captain America. Your best counter is going to be the likes of Invisible Woman for her double jump escape. Also, if he's on top of you, you can put your shift sucky vortex on the floor and whittle him down a little bit, making his job a little bit trickier. Other great strategist options here are Cloak and Dagger, as you can fade away and anti him with your cloak wall, and Loki, as you can escape easily from his pressure. Doctor Strange hates Wolverine. As a duelist, this is your best counter against Doctor Strange, hands down. His shield means practically nothing to Wolverine, and Doctor Strange only has one piece of maneuverability, but can still be grabbed out of the air. In higher elo, you'll often find Wolverine banned, so your next best option is probably going to be Magic, or even Iron Fist since his buff. Doctor Strange struggles against melee characters, so they are both great picks. I'd probably choose Magic over Iron Fist though, as I think she's an all-round better character. Another great counter against Doctor Strange is Squirrel Girl and Punisher, as they can both do a really great great job of melting his shield and getting rid of it early on in a fight. When picking a Vanguard counter against Doctor Strange, you want to be thinking about those melee characters again. Because of his shield, melee attacks go through it. With this in mind, your best counters are going to be Thor, Hulk, and the Thing. So just choose whichever one you're most comfortable on and give him a hard time in that front line. It was a bit tricky to come up with the best strategist to counter against Doctor Strange, which is a bit of a common theme when looking at countering tanks as a strategist. So it made me think about countering Doctor Strange's ult, and two characters came to mind: Invisible Woman and Luna Snow. Doctor Strange has maybe one of the easiest ults in the game to read. It's pretty obvious when he's about to use it. He'll often push further than normal into your team and then fly up into the air. Once this happens, Invisible Woman is great at pushing him away, and Luna Snow is great at freezing him, both interrupting his ult. Another good thing about Invisible Woman is that your shift ability will damage him regardless of him having his shield up or not. Next up, we've got everyone's favourite tree, Groot. Groot's best counter on duelists is hands down Wolverine. Groot is a big, easy target for Wolverine to grab and kill, especially considering Groot doesn't really have any escape tools or extra shields in his kit. If you misplace Groot as a Wolverine, he's pretty much guaranteed dead. Another amazing option against Groot is Bucky. He's one big target for you to hit, and is a really easy target for you to hit with your grapple as well. Once you grapple a Groot and uppercut him further back into your team's backline, he's done for. Other great options against Groot are Punisher to get rid of his walls, Psylocke for the pure damage output, Moon Knight, Hawkeye, and Hela. As a Vanguard, a great counter into Groot is going to be Doctor Strange. Poke characters like this are great against Groot, as you can deal damage at a similar distance that Groot can while shielding his attacks. Another great thing about this matchup is that if you get stuck behind a Groot's wall and he's blocking off your healing, Doctor Strange can float above the walls and get back to safety. Another tank that is good at this is Thor. You can use Thor to get in and out when you like, and use your awakened stance to deal chunks of damage to Groot, as he's a really easy target to hit. When it comes to strategists, ironically, one of Groot's best counters is his bestie, Rocket Raccoon. You can't trap a Rocket Raccoon with Groot's walls, and his gun does amazing damage against those walls. Any character that is good at dealing damage to the walls is a great counter to Groot. Your gun also does great damage to Groot himself, so Rocket Raccoon is a great option here. Other good strategist counters are Luna and Adam Warlock, as you can keep your distance and whittle down Groot and his walls, as they're both hit scan. Moving on to Magneto. One of Magneto's best counters is going to be Wolverine, but only when you see him use his bubble. Otherwise, he can survive your combo pretty easily, so you've got to play quite carefully into him. Another great option I'd like to mention is Magic and Iron Fist, as you can stay on him like a fly and do damage to him through his shield, the same way you can against Doctor Strange. Other great counters on Duelist are those that can break his shield and bubble quickly, such as Punisher, Hela, and Hawkeye. With these characters, it's all about keeping a safe distance away from him where he can't really shoot you back. When it comes to countering Magneto on a Vanguard, a really great pick here is going to be Groot. Magneto doesn't have anything in his kit which can help him escape your walls or even destroy them quickly. If you block off Magneto's healing with a wall, he becomes a much easier target to kill. Seeing as Magneto has to play a little bit closer to your team, this is quite easy to do on Groot. Other good Vanguard counters here are Thor, Hulk, and the Thing as melee characters, especially when he's got his shield up. Right, in the same way that Wolverine is the best tank buster in the game, Magneto can be considered one of the best strategist busters. His ult is incredible against Luna, Cloak and Dagger, and even Invisible Woman, as he can use it to one-shot them during their defensive ults. This is why Magneto has such a high pick rate and high elo, and has a really good win rate too. It's tough to choose a good strategist counter here, but I'm going to suggest Loki. If Magneto ults your team, put down your Loki lanterns in the hopes that he accidentally hits one of those instead. Peni Parker is up next, and with this tank, you're going to have a hard time using melee characters against her because of her mind. Penny's best duelist counter is probably going to be Punisher. She's an incredibly easy target to hit and headshot, and you can get rid of her nest with absolute ease on Punisher, allowing your team to push forward. Other great counters here are Bucky, Psylocke, Squirrel Girl, Hela, Moon Knight, and Star-Lord, as long as you destroy her nest first. Anyone you can do damage with at a safe distance is great against Penny, and anyone you can destroy her nest with is also a great choice here. As a Vanguard, Penny's best counter is going to be Groot. Did you know that Groot can destroy Penny's nest by simply putting a wall underneath it? This gives massive value for your team by destroying it quickly and easily. Groot can also deal damage to Penny with her large hitbox, and you'll be surprised at how much damage Groot actually does. Another great choice here against Penny is Doctor Strange, as you can do damage to her nest at a safe distance as well, whilst also shielding her damage, which is constant. For strategists, your best counter is going to be Mantis. As Mantis, you can do a ridiculous amount of damage to a Penny and farm headshots so easily on her. Also, you can destroy her nest easily at range. There's clearly a pattern here. And better yet, render her ult absolutely useless by sleeping her and just leaving her in one place. Peni is such a big target, so Mantis can land asleep really easily. Other great counters here are Luna Snow and Adam Warlock. They're both hit scan characters that can deal with her nest, and Luna can also land the easiest freeze against her during her ult too. The newest addition now to Marvel Rivals, The Thing. He's really starting to come into his own, and people are starting to use him a lot more and more in higher elo. Due to his immunity to crowd controlling abilities that physically move your character, the typical tank counters such as Wolverine are not amazing against him. However, he is a really big target to hit and doesn't have any actual shields, just a damage reduction. Your best counters on Duelist against The Thing are ones that can pump a lot of damage. Hawkeye, Squirrel Girl, Punisher, Hela, Psylocke, Moon Knight, Namor, and Star-Lord are all amazing counters against him. He also has a really hard time against flying characters such as Iron Man, Storm, and Human Torch. Also, despite the fact that Bucky can't actually grapple him in, he still does incredible damage against The Thing, and your grapple just becomes a quick stun instead. Moon Knight is an absolute killer against The Thing. He's just another massive unk for you to bounce your damage off of, hitting their backline and hitting his fellow teammates. Also, as soon as you see The Thing jump back to one of his healers to help support them, you're just getting free damage on everyone as Moon Knight. As a Vanguard, a really great counter into The Thing is Groot. The Thing wants to be up close and personal, so a great character to choose is Groot to wall him off and stop him from escaping back to his team with his jumping ability. The Thing also has a really hard time against Groot walls because he can only slowly whittle them down. Other great Vanguard choices here are Hulk, Thor, and Peni Parker. Moving on to The Thing's strategic counters, and although he can't be physically moved with abilities, he isn't immune to being stunned. Therefore, your best counters against him are Mantis and Luna Snow for their sleep and their freeze ability. So if The Thing is giving you a super hard time, just pick whichever one you're most comfortable on and keep on stunning him. As a duelist player playing against Thor, your go-to counter is going to be Wolverine or Bucky. However, if they're banned, I find that an amazing option against Thor is Psylocke. He is such a big meat shield for you to do incredible damage on him as Psylocke, and also escape when he gets into his awakened form. Other really amazing counters into him are Namor, Moon Knight, Hela, Hawkeye, and Squirrel Girl. Flying characters like Iron Man, Storm, and Human Torch also play really well into Thor. Just be careful of his awakened stance. If you play a Vanguard and you're looking to counter Thor, Peni Parker is a really great option here on defense, and Captain America is a great option on attack. Thor needs to get up close and personal to you to do damage, and without his awakened stance, you have a really tough time getting rid of Penny's spider nest. Out of all the melee tanks, Thor does the most damage, so he can usually win those matchups. This is thanks to his awakened stance and pressure. Thor is kind of like a tank DPS hybrid. However, Captain America becomes a great option because as soon as he pops his awakened stance, you're going to want to put your shield up and deflect his main source of burst damage, and then go back to whittling him down with your punches. As a strategist, Thor's best counter in my opinion is Luna or Mantis. As Thor doesn't have any shields, he's a really easy target to hit from a distance, farming headshots on him and sleeping or freezing him when he gets a bit too close. Thor is a secondary tank, so he can easily be shut down when he is focused. Save your sleep or freeze for when he enters his awakened stance for the most value. Other great strategists into Thor are Rocket Raccoon for the damage and escape tools, Invisible Woman for a similar reason, and Adam Warlock for his hit scan at a distance and fully charged right click. To finish off this list, let's talk about Venom. Venom is the diviest of dive tanks out there. Subscribe to the channel if you hate being dived. Your best duelist counter against him is going to be Namor. Namor will help deal with the Venom easily, and if Venom jumps on top of you, you can use your shift ability to get away and let your squids deal some damage. If you have a Luna on your team, Namor becomes even more of a beast because that team up goes crazy. If you're playing Namor, it's honestly worth asking for someone to hop on Luna. Bucky is also an amazing option here, as he's the second best anti-dive duelist in the game. But as an all-rounder, probably the best duelist in the game right now, full stop. Other great options here are Star-Lord, Psylocke, Squirrel Girl, Hawkeye, Punisher, Hela, and your flying characters, Iron Man, Storm, and Human Torch. Any CC is great against Venom, and timing it when he's about to web swing away or before he gets a chance to pop his shield is vital. Venom hates crowd control. As a Vanguard, Peni is a really great option to counter Venom's dive. Place your mines on the floor near your spider nest and let your healers play around you to protect themselves against Venom. Another really great option here if you're planning to peel for your backline is The Thing. If an enemy team is running a Venom and Spider-Man combo, you're going to need to make it your job to protect your healers at all costs, and the Thing is great at doing so because of the way his kit is designed. Thor is also a really great option against Venom because the closer you are to him, the harder it is for Venom to land his shots on anyone else but you. You can use Thor's shift ability to get Venom away from your healers and use your awaken stance to chunk him down when the time is right. As a strategist, you want to play characters with really good CC abilities like I mentioned before. Lunar Snow is going to be your best choice as you can freeze him when he's about to web swing away or before he pops a shield. Also, as I said before, if you have a Namor in your team, this is a really amazing team up. You can also ice skate away from his onslaught if you don't fancy the fight, and it's really hard for Venom to keep up with you. Other great strategist choices here are Mantis for her sleep, Invisible Woman to escape him, and also Jeff is a really amazing choice here because it's almost impossible to consistently land damage on his shark fin as Venom. Another thing with Venom being such a big target, you can land direct hits on him as Jeff and do a surprising amount of damage.
Yummy, yummy!
Okay, that's every Vanguard counter pick on every single role in Marvel Rivals. Sorry if it seemed like I was repeating myself a little bit because there's a lot of crossover, so it's pretty easy to learn. If you think I've missed a counter out, or if there's anything you'd like to add, or if you think I've got something wrong, let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this guide, please consider liking and subbing to the channel. Click that sub button right now. It really goes a long way and a lot of effort goes into these videos. I would appreciate it a lot. I really hope this video has been helpful. And until next time, Rivalers, as always, I hope you leng it down in your ranked games.